He sat at the far edge of the great hall, quiet and still, like a shadow that even the lights forgot. No nameplate. No delegation beside him. No translator drone buzzed over his shoulder. Just one human. Alone. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with noise. Over 300 species had gathered inside the circular space station, orbiting the twin stars of Halorian Prime. Bright robes shimmered, claws tapped on consoles, and tentacles moved in rhythm as ambassadors argued about borders, trade, war, and peace. But no one looked at the man from Earth. They had stopped noticing humans long ago. Not because humans were gone, because they thought humans didn't matter anymore. They were small, quiet, always listening, never interfering. Most species believed humans were tired. Their fleets hadn't moved in decades. Their economy seemed focused on art, science, and healing. And their warships were rarely seen. Some said Earth had learned its place. But one delegate, a reptilian named Vertrick, glanced toward the human in passing. He noticed something odd.
Oh!
The man wasn't using a holographic notepad like the others. He wasn't connected to the neural net. He was just watching. Vertrick squinted. Something about the man felt off. His eyes were still, but alert. His posture calm, but not relaxed. He didn't belong in this room. Yet he sat like he owned it. Double quotes. "We propose a neutral occupation of the Tersai belt," boomed a heavy voice from the central dais. It was High Minister Zelther of the Kraylock Empire. His skin was armored, and his teeth sharp. "It lies between our space and the human region. They do not use it, they do not control it. It is wasted." Others nodded. "The humans will not resist," said another voice. "They haven't spoken at a council meeting in 40 years. The vote began. Species after species lifted their insignias in approval. Yes, yes, approved. Agreed. Vertrick hesitated. His claws tapped the table nervously. Something in his memory stirred, an old report from his grandfather's era. It spoke of humans once long ago when they were feared. He looked again. The human was standing. Silently, the room didn't notice at first. The votes continued. But the silence near the human began to spread, like a ripple, like cold air. Slipping through a warm room, eyes turned, one by one, until the entire chamber had gone quiet. The man wore a simple black suit. No medals, no insignia, no flag. His hair was gray at the edges, his skin pale, his eyes cold steel. He walked forward. No one stopped him. When he reached the center of the hall, he looked around once. Then he spoke. One word, a single number. Protocol 7. The silence deepened. Zelthor growled. "Explain." The human turned his head slowly. "You voted to breach the Tersai Belt. You broke Treaty 49A, signed 173 years ago. Article 12. If Earth is threatened, directly Protocol 7 begins." A few delegates laughed nervously. "No such protocol exists," said a high-pitched being from the Shawnee Collective. "Earth has no active defense treaties. You are lying." Human turned toward them, expressionless. "Protocol 7 doesn't require your approval. It is not a defense protocol. It is a silence protocol." "What does that mean?" shouted another. The human checked a small metal device in his hand. No lights. No beeps. Just a quiet press of a button. "Transmission confirmed," he said. Then he left. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't speak again. He walked straight out of the council chamber, guards too stunned to stop him. And then stars began to move. 3 hours later, at the edge of the Andrelis expanse, Kraylock border sensors lit up red. Unregistered mass signatures. Multiple. Fast. No communications. No signal codes. 20-7 unknown vessels had appeared. They were shaped like nothing the council had ever seen. No markings, no windows only. It's black metal, smooth, seamless, like death forged from silence. They did not respond to hails. They did not show up on known IFF channels, and then Kraylock listening post vanished. Not exploded. Vanished. The signal just stopped. In 1 second, the station existed. The next it didn't. No heat signature. No debris. Nothing. Just silence. Council reconvened in emergency session. They attacked without warning. Zelther roared. "This is a violation of all interstellar laws," said Vertrack softly. He stood, reading an old digital file his ancestors had archived. Protocol 7 was real. It was created after the last human war. It means Earth will not speak again. They will not negotiate. They will not respond. They will act. "Says war," whispered another delegate. "No," said Vertrack, his eyes wide. "This is worse than war. This is vengeance." In a hidden room deep, under Earth's surface, a voice whispered across command lines. Protocol 7 confirmed. Black Fleet activated. Deep under the oceans, great metal forms began to rise, above Mars. Hidden satellites that had been quiet for centuries turned toward space, across the Kuiper Belt. Old war machines began to hum. Earth had been quiet, but it had never been weak. The Black Fleet wasn't made of normal ships. It didn't fly in standard formations. It didn't speak, didn't warn. It simply moved and erased what stood in its path in council space. Outposts began to fall, fast, too fast. No alarms, no. Battles, just silence. 1 minute alive, next minute gone. Entire fleets scrambled, weapons powered up, planets prepared defenses. But nothing worked, because the humans were not fighting on known channels. They didn't jam signals. They ignored them. They didn't disable shields. They went through them. Weapons locked on human ships, but before they could fire, they stopped responding. AI systems crashed. Targeting failed. And then the ships disappeared one by one. Zelther screamed in rage from his command cruiser. "Where are they? Find them! Destroy them!" A terrified officer turned to him. "Sir, they are inside the system." "What system?" "Ours." The screen showed a black dot near their central capital. The human fleet had bypassed their border entirely. No warp signature. No time delay. They were just lay like ghosts. Back in the Galactic Council, Vertrack stood alone. The chamber was quiet now. No arguments, no pride, just fear. They dismissed the human in silence, he said softly. Now, the stars run red. No one replied outside the station, far away, but getting closer, 12 black ships moved through the void. No sound. No signal, just motion, like a shadow spreading across the galaxy. In the quiet darkness of Sector 17, near the border of Kraylock space, a small scout ship drifted silently. Its crew had been assigned to monitor strange gravitational spikes reported. Days earlier, they didn't expect to find anything. They were wrong. Lieutenant Selk, the Zarkith pilot, leaned back in his seat. Nothing on long-range scans. Maybe the sensors are glitching again. His co-pilot Terran didn't answer. He was staring at the screen. His hands trembled. "What is that?" Terran whispered. On the screen, black dots appeared. Dozens, silent. Without ID codes, no heat, no engine trails, just shapes. "Are they ships?" Selk asked. Before Terran could answer, the ship's lights flickered. A deep hum spread through the hull. Every screen went dark. The crew never had time to send a distress call. Only one thing was transmitted right before the ship vanished. 2 words. "They're moving." The council received the message 11 minutes later. Inside the emergency chamber, High Minister Zelther crushed the data tablet in his claws. "Lies. This is a trick. No fleet can move that fast, Minister," said one of his advisors carefully. Double quotes. ... The listening post on Tragos Prime also went silent. No warning. "Sabotage," Zelther said. "Sir, it was protected by 3 layers of defense grids." Zelther snarled and turned to the council. "We should retaliate. Crush Earth before this spreads." Vertrack stood, his face pale. "You still don't understand what you've done. Earth does not warn twice. Protocol 7 is not a message. It's a countdown." Zelther waved a claw. "Earth is weak. Their silence is fear." Vertrack's voice rose. "Their silence is precision. You think they're quiet because they're small, but they're quiet because they don't want you to hear what's coming. Far across the void, in a hidden system with no name, Earth's true fleet stirred. It was not listed in Earth's official records, not seen in any galactic traffic. No one outside the Sol system even knew it existed. This was Fleet Echo. It was born in secret, trained in silence, programmed for only one thing: unseen retaliation. Thousands of vessels, black, sharp, and silent, floated in formation. No lights, no flags, no life signals. Each ship had a eye-level command. But only one voice could awaken them. She sat deep inside a chamber on Mars, her fingers glowing on a neural interface. Commander Nyra Vale, Earth's last active Protocol 7 officer. She whispered a simple sentence. Begin ghost pattern eastward sweep. In the Kraylock Empire, cities buzzed with false confidence. Military parades rolled through streets. People cheered. Propaganda said Earth was bluffing, that the Galactic Council would stand united. They believed it until the sky fell. Over the capital city of Girthon, a strange shape appeared above the clouds. It hovered. No sound, no heat, just presence. Military command tried to lock weapons on it. They failed. Communications jammed. Power grids died. Hospitals shut down then. The floating object released a pulse. Everything stopped. Machines, engines, weapons even. The air turned cold. Then the object disappeared. No explosion, no battle, just fear and silence in the council chambers. Panic spread. Species once proud of their fleets now begged for information. How did they bypass our scanners? They disabling entire cities? Why are they targeting infrastructure, not civilians? Why isn't Earth responding to our calls? No answers came. Vertrack stepped forward again, this time holding an ancient datapad from the old archive. Earth once fought a war with the Rilla Confederation, he said. The chamber fell silent. They were outnumbered 5-1. Their colonies were destroyed, their people scattered. But in less than 60 days, Earth erased the Rillic from space. The entire species vanished. Zelther laughed nervously. That's a myth. No one can do that. Vertrack didn't blink. Maybe that's why Earth never speaks. Maybe we forgot the cost of making them respond. In deep space, an alien cargo ship tried to run. It was filled with weapons meant to supply Kraylock forces. As it passed through the Nera drift, a small object attached itself to the hull. The crew didn't notice. They felt no explosion, just sleep. Every member of the crew stopped breathing within 60 seconds. The ship changed direction on its own and returned silently to Earth's space still. It's full of its weapons. Earth didn't need to steal. It made the enemy deliver. By day 4, over. 60 outposts were gone. The Council demanded answers from Earth. No. Replied, then they tried threats. Still no reply. So they tried begging. Still nothing. Finally, one message came through from a station near the edge of Earth-controlled space. A single, chilling transmission. Audio only. The voice was human. .com. Female. You voted. We acted. Do not speak again unless you're ready to listen. In the Kraylock, Homeworld's primary command tower. Zelther stared at the hologram showing lost ships. He refused to believe it. This is just stealth warfare, he said. It can be countered. The second-in-command leaned forward, voice shaking. Sir, the weapons we're detecting aren't conventional. They're decades ahead of us. They're not designed for war. They're designed for erasure. Zelther turned slowly. Then we erase them first. He issued Order 17. Total war. Every Kraylock ship in the region was to engage. Human vessels on site, all trade with human systems was terminated. The Council warned. Against it, he didn't care. He had no idea what he'd just triggered. In Earth's Black Fleet Command. Commander Nyra Vale received the intercepted message. She read it once. Then she nodded. She didn't smile. She didn't blink. She just spoke 2 words. Phase 2. Across the stars, hidden satellites began to activate. Dozens. Hundreds. They released nanobots designed to crawl into foreign comms. Systems, they didn't destroy anything. They listened, they learned, and then they rewrote enemy navigation. Suddenly, Kraylock's ships started disappearing, warping to the wrong places, crashing into stars. Stranded in black holes, some ships never left their hangars. Their own doors wouldn't open. Earth wasn't at war. It was editing the battlefield. Back in Council space, rumors spread fast. Earth controls gravity tech. No, they built a weapon. That folds time. They erased half of Zelther's fleet in one blink. In truth, no one really knew how Earth did it. They just knew one thing. They had woken something that had stayed silent. Long for Trey sat alone in his quarters. He watched old videos from Earth's peaceful cities, music, children playing. He remembered the human in the chamber, the man no one noticed now. Man's species was rewriting the galaxy in silence. He whispered to himself, should have listened before the stars turned red. The Kraylock fleet should have been ready. 500 warships, 22 carriers, the best destroyers in their empire. They moved in formation, weapons armed, shields glowing. They waited near the outer edge of Earth-controlled space. They had every advantage, but there was one problem. There was nothing to shoot. Not a single human ship, not even a signal. Captain Drex of the Kraylock command carrier roared across the bridge. Scan again. I want visual confirmation. They must be cloaked. His crew obeyed. Scans swept the void again. Nothing. No heat, no motion, no signatures. Yet something was wrong. Every officer felt it. The air felt colder. The lights dimmed just a little. Their hands shook without reason. Captain Drex gripped the edge of the console. If we find them first, we strike first. Earth cannot hide forever. But Earth wasn't hiding. Earth was already inside. On the far side of the fleet, a small Kraylock scout ship drifted too far from formation. Its pilot saw a flicker on her screen. A shadow. Then another. She tapped her console. Command, I see. Something strange shapes. No energy output. The line went dead. Command tried to reach her. No answer. The ship disappeared from the map. No explosion, no debris. Just gone. Back on the Kraylock command carrier, panic spread, one by one. Outer patrol ships began dropping off sensors. They didn't report attacks. They didn't send warnings. They simply vanished. Drex slammed his clawed fist on the console. This is impossible. They're not even firing. They're not fighting, said the sensor officer. They're removing. In the void, they began to appear. Black ships, sharp, silent. They didn't decloak. They simply stepped out of nowhere, like space itself opened its mouth and let them through. Each ship was shaped like a blade. No windows, no insignias. One Kraylock, Gunner whispered. They don't look like ships. They look like executioners. And they moved fast. Faster than any Kraylock weapon could lock on, before the command fleet could react. The first Earth vessel passed through a Kraylock cruiser. It didn't fire. It didn't explode. The cruiser simply lost all power, then cracked open in total silence. Drex screamed. Open fire. All directions. Lasers, torpedoes, plasma burst, every weapon launched in panic, but they hit nothing. The Earth fleet was already somewhere else. Then another. Kraylock destroyer vanished, then another. The fleet broke formation. Some tried to flee. Others tried to surrender. But surrender signals were ignored because this fleet didn't exist on paper. It wasn't listed in Earth's archives. No public commander? No. Government seal. Just a name whispered in the black projects of Earth's oldest bunkers. The Ghost Armada, aboard Earth vessel. Eclipse 13, Commander Nyra Vale. Watched in silence. No celebration. No speeches. Just data. Her crew spoke in short, cold phrases. Target silenced. Vector locked. Another transmission intercepted. This wasn't war to them. It was math vengeance. Calculated to the second. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council's central command tower, news came in like a flood. Kraylock warships missing, sectors going dark, entire defense grids turning against their own ships. Species across the council panicked. One ambassador shouted, "Why didn't Earth send a formal declaration?" Another shouted back, "We declared them unimportant. They're just responding." Vertrek stood quietly in the corner, watching the chaos. "They were never gone," he said. "They were just watching, waiting, preparing for the day someone forgot who they used to be." Silence fell, because everyone knew the day they dismissed Earth. They signed their own warning and ignored it. On the Kraylock homeworld, loud sirens blared, their skies once full of proud banners now showed only dark clouds and shadows. The capital's defense minister tried to activate their last orbital cannon. It didn't respond. He tried the backup. Still nothing. Then the room's power died, and the stars outside the window flickered. One by one, something was blocking the stars. Something massive. Something that wasn't there a minute ago. The minister leaned forward. Eyes wide, it was a ship. A human vessel the size of a moon. It had no engines, no ports, just one glowing red symbol carved across its hull. No. One recognized it, because it wasn't from any known Earth faction. It was older, hidden, buried, until now. From deep in Earth's command structure, a message was sent to the Council. Encrypted. Simple. Cold. It read, "This is the end of warnings. The galaxy called us silent. Now we answer in silence. Stand down, or vanish." Back aboard the Kraylock command carrier, only 12 ships remained. Captain Drex sat slumped in his chair, hands shaking. Out. The bridge was in chaos. His last officer asked quietly, "Sir, should we retreat?" Drex looked at the stars, now full. Of black ships, there was nowhere to run. The fleet that didn't exist was already here, back in the council chamber. For the first time in history, a motion was raised. Immediate peace treaty with Earth. No debates, no objections, just a vote. And the vote was unanimous. But Earth didn't reply. Not for hours. Then a signal finally came. It wasn't a voice. It was a simple video. A dark room. A man sitting at a table. The same man from part 1. The one. Nobody had noticed. He looked into the camera, his face calm. Behind him, screen showed hundreds of alien fleets falling. He said one sentence, "You forgot we existed. Now the galaxy remembers." The war was over. At least that's what the Council told itself. Kraylock forces were gone, their fleets destroyed, their pride shattered, but peace didn't return. Instead, something worse spread. Silence. It moved faster than ships. Stronger than weapons, deeper than fear. The kind of silence that made even the most powerful civilizations whisper across the galaxy. Species once proud of their military strength now questioned everything in the halls of the Thrin Assembly. A diplomat said, "If Earth could hide an entire ghost fleet, what else are they hiding?" In the Luxari Empire, a scientist showed footage of the battles. These weren't just ships. They were tools of precision. You don't even understand how they bent physics. On the mining world of Burrows 9, workers refused to load shipments marked for Earth. They had seen the footage. And the look in the human commander's eyes, it wasn't hatred, it wasn't revenge. It was calm calculation, like they had done this before. Many times, and always without mistakes. Back in Earth space, Commander Naira Vale stood in a dark command room, her face lit. Only by tactical screens. All silent now. Fleet Echo had returned to their hidden docks. No celebration, no reward, because Earth didn't fight for glory. It fought to be left alone. A soft voice echoed from the console. It was an AI monitoring interstellar chatter. "Commander," it said, "a dozen species are now offering peace terms. And gifts." Naira didn't look up. She just said, "Too late." They didn't want peace. They wanted power. They thought silence meant weakness. But silence had a price, and Earth paid it long ago. Somewhere in the deepest part of Earth's memory archives, an An old man walked through a corridor lined with sealed doors. Each door had a symbol. Each symbol belonged to a fallen enemy. Humans. Didn't forget, they recorded everything. One door opened as he passed. Inside was a dusty screen. It showed a video from over 300 years ago, a council fleet, orbiting Earth, delivering the first ultimatum: surrender, obey, or disappear. Earth had smiled politely back then, had given gifts, joined the council, signed the treaties, and quietly built something else in the shadows. A reminder, one meant for the day the council pushed too far. That day had come. On a small moon far outside known space, 3 alien survivors met in secret: a Kraylock officer, a Luxari noble, and a Thrin spy. All had lost something during the human retaliation. The Kraylock officer, his entire command; the Luxari, her planetary trade empire; the Thrin spy, his entire shadow network. They sat in silence. Then the Kraylock finally said, "We underestimated Earth." "No," said the Luxari. "We never understood Earth. Not truly. They were broken once," the Thrin whispered. "I studied their old wars. Our own people nearly destroyed each other. But somehow, they became united." The Kraylock growled. "United through what?" The Thrin's voice trembled. "Pain." Meanwhile, deep under the surface of Mars, a new room was being built. Not for war, but for warnings. A museum, not open to the galaxy, only for humans, to remind them what silence costs, and what it protects. Commander Naira Vale stood before the first exhibit. It held only a single object, a cracked data tablet, recovered from the first Kraylock strike that killed 3,000 civilians in Earth's outer colonies. Next to it, a line was engraved in metal. "They struck first. We answered last." Back in the Galactic Council, leaders from over 60 species now sat in fear. Not from missiles, not from invasions, but from the idea that Earth never needed their permission, never needed approval, never asked. The council's speaker said nervously, "We must rebuild trust with Earth. We must show them we can change." But someone asked a question no one could answer. What if Earth doesn't want anything from us anymore? At the same time, Earth's diplomats were silent. No messages, no demands, no peace talks, just absence, because didn't want control it. Wanted space, room to grow, room to breathe, room to never be underestimated again. But not all species learned their lesson. In the shadow of a shattered Kraylock moon, a secret fleet stirred. Not from the Cout, not from an empire, but from something older, something that watched even before. Earth rose, a machine intelligence, long thought destroyed. Its signal activated the moment. Earth's ghost armada was revealed, and it spoke 3 words in an ancient digital tongue, human pattern detected. Deep in Earth's oldest satellite vault, an alert pinged. Nay looked at it for the first time. Her expression changed. She whispered, "So, someone else remembers us." Because the price of silence wasn't just survival, it was attracting the attention of something older than fear, and it had just woken up. It began as a faint whisper, a signal buried beneath space noise. Far beyond any council system, deep past forgotten stars, no species heard it, except one Earth. The alert came in during the quiet hours, inside a black facility beneath Antarctica's ice. A room lit only by red monitors received the ping. Just 5 characters, repeating every 13 seconds. Simple, cold, impossible. HOL 029 Commander Naira. Vale stood before the signal screen. Her voice was low. "We buried this protocol over 400 years ago." The AI responded, without emotion, confirmed. Protocol Holo-9. Galactic Extinction Event Contingency, originally triggered by hostile precursors. Last recorded trace erased from all public records. Naira's eyes narrowed, and now it's back. No one on Earth panicked. There were no global announcements, no broadcasts, no emergency meetings, only silence and quiet movement in the shadows. Certain vaults were unlocked. ancient satellites turned toward dead systems. Ships that had never been launched were fueled in underground hangars, and in a place even Earth's ghost armada feared, a man awoke. They called him Director Kane. He wasn't military, wasn't political. He was something older. A sleeper. One of the last humans trained during Earth's first alien war, when survival came not through strength, but planning. They said he had memorized every extinct language, every failed invasion plan, and every weakness Earth had ever hidden from itself. When he opened his eyes, he asked only one thing. Has the signal changed pattern? Yes. They said yes. It now pulsed faster, like something approaching. The council didn't know yet. They believed the worst had passed. They were holding peace talks, even preparing for trade again, until a Luxari listening station picked up an anomaly. Something large. Moving between stars? Not using engines, it didn't travel. It shifted. It jumped from point to point, as if ignoring space. Then came the report. Entire systems going silent. No distress signals. Just blackouts. On Earth, Director Kane met with Naira Vale in an underground command chamber. They spoke plainly. Do we confirm precursor activity? She asked. Kane nodded. Not just confirm it. We expected it. Eventually, they're ancient, she said. More advanced than anything the Council has ever seen. They're not more advanced, Kane replied. They're older. They move differently, not like fleets. More like viruses. They consume understanding before they consume bodies. Meanwhile, in orbit of a dead star, a scout ship from the Varnic species drifted into darkness. Its crew was silent. Their last message? Only one sentence. We stared into something that doesn't blink. Then nothing. The Council finally noticed. One by one, reports came in. Stars blinking out. Planets losing time. Empty their crews, missing no bodies, just clothing left behind, and then message arrived. Broadcast to the Council. Not in sound, but in vision. A flickering image. A battlefield made of stars. Burning vessels of unknown design. And at the center, a human flag. Torn, scorched, but still standing. The Council demanded answers from Earth. They begged for communication. This time, Earth responded. Director Kane appeared on every diplomatic channel. His voice was clear, his tone neutral. You feared us when we were silent, but you never asked what we were listening for. He paused, then said, we weren't preparing to fight you. We were preparing to stop them. At that moment, the stars near the galactic edge pulsed red. Every species saw it. A wall of flickering distortion, shifting, breaking, rebuilding, and rebuilding. In its center a shape, no one could describe it, because every sensor refused to process its form. The machines glitched. The organic minds felt pain. It was something that did not belong. Back in Earth's deep command, a black screen blinked. The AI spoke once again. Precursor entity detected. Estimated arrival, 9 Earth days. Defensive readiness, 47%. Naira looked at Kane. He answered calmly. Time to wake the last ship. In a chamber buried inside the moon, they stood before something enormous. A warship that had no engines, no name, no weapons. Anyone could understand. It pulsed, like it was alive. It had been built before Earth's nations united, and then forgotten, or so everyone thought. Its command console activated as Kane placed his hand upon it. A voice spoke not in English, not in any alien tongue, just one simple message. Recognition accepted. Humanity's guardian online, because this wasn't just Earth's fight anymore. It was a final line. If this signal reached the core worlds, it would be nothing left to save, and the galaxy finally understood. Earth wasn't preparing for. Revenge Earth was preparing to be the wall, the shield, the last sane voice against something ancient and unexplainable. Long before the Council existed, before even the oldest empires rose from the dust of dying stars, there was a war so massive, so terrifying, that time itself refused to remember it. No records. no ruins, just whispers in gravity waves. And scars on the edge of reality, Earth called it the Forgotten War, because only Earth remembered. And now it had returned. The precursor entity, whatever it truly was, kept moving. It didn't use engines. It didn't make demands. It simply erased. Entire systems vanished. Not destroyed, removed, like a page torn out of a book, and every time it moved, stars themselves dimmed, as if they were afraid. Commander Naira Vale watched the red zone spread across the galactic map. Dozens of species had now gone silent. Even the war-hardened Kraylock had abandoned their outer colonies. The Luxury were evacuating entire systems. The Council was helpless. Their fleets, once proud and shining, simply blinked out when they approached the red zone. No wreckage, no signals, only silence. But Earth was different. Earth remembered the old patterns. The strange gravity waves. The time-bending pulses. Because once, 400 years ago, Earth had seen the precursor entity during a test voyage beyond mapped space. That ship, Horizon Echo, had vanished for 7 minutes. When it returned, the crew had aged 20 years, and their message: simple, don't let it wake, ever. But now, it was awake, and only Earth had weapons meant to stop something like it. Weapons not made from steel or plasma, but from physics, broken and rebuilt by sacrifice. Director Kane stood inside Earth's moon-based vault. In front of him floated a black cube. Not large, not glowing, just ... humming. He turned to Naira Vale. "This is the first artifact," he said. "Recovered before the first war. What does it do?" she asked. "It turns space into stone," he said. "Temporarily, it freezes time in a localized area. Won't it kill everything nearby?" He nodded, double quotes, yes. "Including us, if we're not fast enough." Across Earth's underground bases, the old guard was reactivated. These weren't soldiers. They were survivors. People trained to fight an enemy that couldn't be understood. It's only slowed down. They wore suits powered by gravity sinks. Their minds were bonded with ancient prediction A's, and their mission wasn't to win, it was to contain. Earth sent no fleet, no declaration of war, no grand message. Instead, it sent a single ship, the Silent Thorn, black as deep space, invisible to scanners. And armed with tech so dangerous, Earth had banned its own scientists from touching it. Inside, 12 crew members stood ready, each one chosen not for their rank, but for what they had already lost. Fathers, mothers, children. All taken by previous wars, they didn't seek revenge. They sought closure. They entered the red zone, where others vanished. They remained, because their ship didn't run on light. It ran on anchored time-forbidden engine that burned stability, itself to move. They reached the center, and there. It was not a ship, not a creature, a presence, a dark shape with no edges. It hovered in every direction at once. Looking at it made time bend. Memories faded. Some crew forgot their names. One man screamed, "I remember being born again." The captain, a woman named Isha Malin, didn't flinch. She activated the first cube. The cube shattered. A wave of stillness exploded outward. Space froze. Time cracked. The entity slowed. For the first time, it reacted. It turned toward them and spoke, not in words, in thoughts, in feelings. In regret, Isha collapsed, blood pouring from her nose. She gasped, "It doesn't understand us." The AI inside her suit hissed, then forced it to. Back on Earth, Director Kane whispered one line into the command line: "Initiate Leviathan." Protocol. Far below the oceans of Europa, something massive opened its eyes. A creature? A machine? Both. It rose from the ice, older than any human civilization. Not built, grown, its only purpose, to fight the things that logic couldn't. As the Silent Thorn prepared to launch its second cube, a larger one that would seal the entity for decades, the entity pulsed again. This time, it showed them images. Not of war, but of before, of galaxies it had watched die, stars collapsing into themselves, screaming, of voices begging for help in languages long gone. It wasn't just a destroyer, it was a witness, and Earth, for the first time, asked a dangerous question. What if it came here not to kill us, but to warn us? But warnings meant nothing now. The entity had already done too much. Too many were gone. Too many worlds erased. And so Earth gave its answer. The second cube shattered. A field of locked space expanded around the entity. It screamed not in anger, but in memory. It wasn't trying to fight. It had simply been caught in a loop, trying to find something it lost long ago. A home, a voice, a way back, but it had become a storm. One that only Earth could stop, the trap held for now. Earth called the zone the grave orbit, a place no one would visit, a warning to all species. Not everything ancient is evil, but not everything ancient should be awakened. The Council begged Earth to share the truth, to tell them what the entity was. But Earth simply said, it's not over, because from the edge of the galaxy, another signal just arrived, one that answered the first. And it didn't come from this universe. The red zone was quiet now, frozen, sealed. The precursor entity, once unstoppable, now trapped in a gravity-locked bubble of dead space. Earth didn't celebrate, because silence never meant safety. Inside Earth's hidden orbital command post station, Blackreach Director Kane watched a new signal repeat. It wasn't from this galaxy. It wasn't even from this universe. The signal pulsed in impossible wavelengths. The AI couldn't translate it. Mathematics couldn't explain it. It came in before time. Backwards, echoed, twisted. A warning or an invitation. Nobody knew. The Council demanded answers again. But this time, Earth sent no reply. Not even a whisper. Instead, Earth's top minds gathered deep under the surface of Mars, a place called Vault Theta. A vault no species, not even most humans, knew existed. Their humanity had stored one last thing, a key, not to a door, but to a breach. 3 centuries ago, Earth discovered something strange during a deep space mining operation, a rift. It wasn't black. It wasn't glowing. It was wrong. The crew who found it vanished, but not before sending one word, mirrored. That rift was sealed, buried, locked in a place so deep even Earth's AI couldn't access it until now, because the new signal matched the old one perfectly. NYRA. Vale stood at the edge of the rift inside Vault Theta. Her voice trembled. This is where they came from. Kane stood beside her, quiet. Not just them, he said. Something worse. The AI connected to truths. The precursor entity was not a conqueror. It was a scout, a warning system. Trying to stop something that followed, something it failed to contain in the past. And now, that thing was awake. In the dark corners of space, strange events began. Stars bending into unnatural shapes. Moons changing positions overnight. Space, folding in ways that shouldn't be possible. Time was unraveling. Ships reported seeing their own pasts. Messages were received before they were sent. Entire crews claimed to have died and, yet stood alive. And worst of all, on a derelict mining moon, a message carved itself into the rock. We remember what you buried, Earth's launched project. Paradox, its goal. Enter the rift. Face whatever was coming, or at least understand it. The ship, the Midnight Crown, a vessel made of living metal. It could bend dimensions, survive paradoxes, and even pause itself in timeline fractures. Only one crew member was allowed aboard, a woman named Dr. Alara Sine, part physicist, part historian, part weapon. She carried the memories of every war Earth had ever fought, not in files, but in her blood genetically encoded memory streams. Passed down from the first HFY operatives, she entered the rift. The universe twisted. Everything changed. Inside, space had no rules. Up and down swapped. Time spun like a wheel. She saw echoes of herself walking beside her holder, younger, broken, victorious, and far ahead. Something watched her, not a being, a structure, a tower made of reflections. It pulsed with voices, not loud, but clear. They said one thing: "We built the entity to hold the door. Now the door's gone." Lara stepped closer. She saw flashes, worlds folding into themselves. Ancient civilizations begging not for mercy, but to be forgotten. A map that looked like the galaxy, but then she realized it wasn't a map, it was a wound, and Earth was at its center, back on Earth. Alarm screamed. A new rift had opened on its own, and this time something came out. It wasn't large, it wasn't fast, it was impossible. A ship shaped like nothing ever designed. It moved by reappearing, as if space didn't apply, and written along its side. In a language no one knew, yet all could read, were the words, "We were you once." Inside the midnight crown, Lara began screaming. She saw visions of Earth becoming that ship of choices being repeated, of failing to change. Again and again, a loop, a mistake that humans hadn't made yet, but would, unless someone broke. The cycle, she sent one final message before vanishing. Don't trust the timeline. Don't trust the memories. Bury the key again, and whatever you do, don't let them speak your name. Then silence. The midnight crown, gone. Earth knew. One truth now. This wasn't about war. It was about remembrance. About a reality trying to stop humanity from becoming what it feared most, itself. Now Earth faces a decision: fight a future it doesn't understand, or erase parts of itself to stop what comes next. Because across the stars, on the edge of the mirror universe, final message is forming, and when it's complete, the galaxy will know what Earth has always hidden. It began with a whisper, a name spoken across dead frequencies, heard inside the minds of sleeping AI, etched into ice on comets, speeding through forbidden zones. One name, spoken not in fear, not in anger, but in recognition. Earth tried to stop. They shut down deep space relays, burned archives, scrambled historical logs, but the name kept surfacing, on alien walls, inside ancient ruins, in the dreams of soldiers. Every version of the name was different, but the meaning was always the same: human. The council panicked. 1,000 species demanded an answer. Why does your name echo across time itself? What did you do? What are you hiding? Earth said nothing, but its silence was no longer protection. It was confirmation. Because long ago, Earth made a choice. When the first precursor wars ended, when the mirror universe was barely contained, when the real enemy was still unknown, Earth chose to bury a man, not with a tomb, not with honor, but with forgetting. A man who had held back the impossible, who rewrote physics with blood, who had spoken to things no mind should understand. They erased his name from every system, even Earth forgot, until now the name returned. Not in sound, but in action. A ship appeared near Saturn's edge. There was no launch, no signal, no announcement. It had simply always been there, or maybe it had returned. It was called the Morning Star, black, silent, unscannable. But when its hull shimmered, it revealed something burned into the plating, a human handprint, and below it, "End what we begin." Inside Blackreach, Earth's oldest AI vigils spoke for the first time in 700 years. Subject 0 has been located. Memory lock override activated. Name: General Kale Sarin. No one knew the name, not even the historians, not even the DNA archives, because Earth had cut him from history. But now, he remembered everything. The Morning Star docked silently. Its hatch opened. Out stepped a man, not old, not young. His eyes carried ages. His skin bore scars and shapes no creature should have survived, and when he walked, the air behind him shivered like time. Wasn't sure he should exist. He didn't speak. He looked at Director Kane. Kane didn't salute, didn't kneel. He just said one word: "Why?" Kale Soren answered softly, "Because we broke the cycle once. Then Earth sealed it. But now the cycle is back. and this time remembers who we were in the council chambers. Panic became rebellion. Some species fled, others prepared weapons. A few tried to erase all data about Earth, hoping forgetting would save them. Too late, because in the mirror universe, something had learned to speak back, and it wasn't saying human. It was calling him. Back at Earth, the skies changed, not visibly, but subtly. Satellites reported stars slightly shifted. Ships noticed double reflections in hyperspace. Time itself began to feel unstable. And Kale Sarin walked into Vault Theta, alone. There, he stared into the sealed mirror rift. It was shaking now, not opening, just trembling like it knew who had returned. He took off his gloves, placed both hands on the containment wall, and whispered something not to himself. I told them never to say my name. I warned them what memory could do, but they remembered anyway. So now I remember. 2. The wall cracked. Alarm screamed. Earth locked down every system, but it was too late. Across the galaxy, in every language at the same moment, people said the same phrase in their own words, as if pulled from memory they didn't own. He walks again. Kale stepped back from the wall. Not angry, not afraid, just... Behind him, Naira Vale watched. She whispered, "What comes now?" He looked at her, and for the first time in this universe's history, Kale Sarin smiled. Now we teach the stars what mercy was really hiding. We show them what Earth never forgot, because they dismissed the human in silence. He turned, his voice deeper than sound. And now the stars will run red,